Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unmuzzled, a podcast, P-A-W-D. We spell that because it's all things animals all the time. I'm Sarah Lauk, your host. I'm bringing Whitney right in because I see Whitney has a dog with him, so I got to get the dog on the screen. Come all to the podcast. We have a pet on the screen.
We've got a beautiful little baby on the screen. Yeah.
Who is this?
This is Woody. This is our new little boy. We got him in December, and so he's still learning what life is like in our house, but he's doing so well, as you can see.
His smile. Yeah, I was gonna say that's not Scout, because Scout is who I believe that you have named these formulas after, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's not Scout. We lost. Unfortunately, we lost Scout in 2024, and it was a really tough thing to deal with. But he gave me a beautiful gift in what we created together, which is what we're going to talk about here today. But Woody is our never a replacement, right? We're never replacing our babies. He's our next iteration of family here.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the loss. That's so hard. I know it's the worst.
Thank you.
So before anything, obviously anybody that's in a pet business, whether it's for me, pet care, foundation work, for you, product, there's a reason that we're in this. Number one, we're usually crazy. But you have to have a passion for pets. So tell me, what was life growing up? Were you always surrounded by animals? Like, how did this all kind of come to be?
Yeah, I did. I had pets my entire life. Growing up, my mom she was very open to any animal that would be that could fit into our house, essentially. We always had an open door policy. If we found animals on the side of the road, we just loved so much, and there was room for them, so we took them in. We didn't really have the space for it. We weren't very well off. We lived in our own little apartment, but there was always enough space for love. So we never turned anybody away. And I've had dozens of dogs in my life. Maybe that's too many, but we've had a lot of dogs and a lot of cats too. We have a cat as well. His name is Theodore, and he runs the house even with the puppy around. But yeah, I mean, animals have always been really important to me. A lot of my family lives in rural areas, and they do farming and cattle raising as well. So I've had a good amount of exposure to all different types of animals and pets, and I feel very blessed for that.
Yeah, same with my family. If a cat came to our doorstep, we took the cat in. It may be missing half the tail. It may be totally broken, but we brought him in. Also, living in the country in the middle of cornfields, I think people were smart enough to know that if they dropped a cat off at our step, it was coming inside. So they figured it out.
Right.
Yeah.
We all know those people in our neighborhood, right? I'm one of those people where if they leave it in my front yard, it's going to get a good home, I'm sure.
Right. So yeah, the way that Whit and I got connected is through Gabby the groomer. So for those of you that listen to the podcast with Gabby, if you have not listened to that podcast, by the way, it is a great podcast with so much good knowledge about grooming and the grooming business in general. For those of you that have followed Live Like Roof for a while, you know that we do a Roof Fest in Nashville. We've done it the last 2 years, and that's actually how I met Whitney. Gabby the groomer also connected us on email. So Whitney, the Nashville dog community in particular, pet community in general, is just amazing. Are you so inspired by just being part of that community?
Oh, it's incredible here. Yeah. People really do have a passion for their animals. And I don't know if it's because it's sort of the mid-South and weather here is really great. So, you get really 9 months of decent weather every year. So a lot of outdoor activities, a lot of things to do, and having a companion while you do that is really nice. But there's also the element that there's so much space as well, and lots of places to take your dog. So many state parks around here that you can take your dog and go run in the wild and let them be free. So that part of animal ownership here is really strong, but the community itself has been unbelievable. I started doing farmers markets in 2021, and I didn't know what I was doing. I would show up and I had this product that I really believed in, but you never really know how it's going to go until you get on the ground and you start talking to people about it and seeing what they think about it. And I will say that, I kind of went into it thinking that the other animal vendors might feel like some sort of competition, like we're all scrapping for the same community to sell to. It was completely the opposite. All of the other small business vendors that were dog related or pet related, open arm policy with them, right? They every time I showed up, they were more than happy to help me set up my booth or give me tips on, how to sell to people. And just the best way to move forward, especially with the people here in Nashville. Nashville loves to talk about, Tennesseans being from Tennessee, but the reality is that people here are from everywhere. It's a
Yeah.
very transient city. So there's a lot of different ideas here, and I really like that about this place.
Yeah, it is great. And it is, every time I'm there, that's what I hear. Like people at the farmers markets, at Roo Fest, at all of these other, festivals, they all really respect each other. And it is
Yeah.
really refreshing. I too think, it takes some maturing, especially, there's a lot of females in the pet industry
Yep.
in general. So for them to embrace each other finally, I think that kind of happens too as you age and you realize, okay, I need these people, to help promote my business and support my business. So that's great. So anyway, Scouts Honor is a formula. It's a bunch of formulas actually. It's 6 different targeted formulas.
It
Um,
is.
but these are 100% organic, and the way that you're manufacturing them, it keeps 90% of the nutritional value, which for pets is unheard of. So, first of all, how did you come up with this idea?
So Scout came to me in 2020. The pandemic was raging. I had lost my career. I used to work in public policy, and I also did a lot of nonprofit administration as well through various different organizations. So I'm familiar with the work that you guys do, and I must say that I very much appreciate the mission of Rue and the people that you guys work with. It really is important, and I appreciate your hard work. So I'll just start by saying that. But
Thank you.
absolutely, it's so important. Our dogs are our companions, and they deserve every bit of love and security and well-being that we can possibly give them, because they can't speak for themselves and they don't have that voice. So we have to be the champions for them. It's important to me. Um, so yeah, so I had gotten Scout in 2020, and he came to me as a raw diet dog. He was from a breeder, but my friend had gotten him and realized that he couldn't take care of him. Anybody who knows anything about GSPs knows that they require a heck of a lot of work. They're not easy dogs, and it is not for the faint of heart by any means. But he came to me as a raw diet dog, and that in itself was a learning experience for me. I had been just like pretty much everybody else, sold on the grab a scoop of kibble, throw it in the bowl, and you're done, right? The convenience about that is really nice, but it's not the end of the story. And so I had to do research on what kind of things a dog needs when they're eating a raw diet. And my first stop was social media. Social media is a really great resource in a lot of ways, but it goes over the top in a lot of other ways. And that's what I found with the raw diet. Everybody was so extra about the things that they were making their dogs. They would do these really elaborate plates of like quail eggs and all these exotic fruits and vegetables. And I thought, that's nice. But I was also at the time unemployed. And so it really wasn't for me to be able to go out and go get these really exotic ingredients. So I started focusing really on the basic things. And as I was giving him these meals, I was spending an hour a night chopping up the fruits for him, trying to make these plates look pretty, which he could have cared less, right? He doesn't care what it looks like; he cares what it tastes like. And I found myself burning out pretty quickly. It wasn't going to be a sustainable project for me, and I didn't want him to suffer from my burnout. So I went on the hunt. I went to PetSmart, and I went to Petco, I went on to Amazon, and I looked for products that had the ingredients that I wanted, but didn't have preservatives. That was sort of the whole point of the raw diet for me, is that it's a preservative-free endeavor. Um, and I couldn't find it. And if I could find it, it was wildly expensive. We all know the sticker shock of going into a pet store and finding the thing that you really want, but it's twice as much as you thought you were going to pay for it. So I decided at the time, since I had so much time on my hands, that I was going to start a new journey of figuring out how I was going to make this more sustainable for myself. So I was living in Utah at the time, and my family is, most of them are Mormon, very resourceful, freeze dryers and dehydrators at their disposal. And I decided I was going to start dehydrating and freeze drying, use the same concept they do for jarring things for winter and canning and that kind of thing, preservation naturally. That's what dehydrating and freeze drying does, is it keeps the nutritional content, but it makes it so that it's shelf stable. You don't have to worry about it spoiling. And, one thing led to another, and I started combining these ingredients with things like goat's milk and yogurt, and trying to get innovative about other ingredients, turmeric and marshmallow root, and some really solid vegetables as well, to sort of keep a baseline. So it really just stemmed from necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention, they say. Maybe Benjamin Franklin said that. I don't know. But it worked for me. And that's how we got to this place.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. Just I think, a lot of people that I have on here are small business owners, and um they exactly what you did. They found a hole in what they were trying to do, or avoid, and did it themselves, which
Right?
is it's number one, it's really ballsy. And I
Sure
know
is.
that because I have experience with that too, but it's also really hard. And it's like you talked about even in the beginning, hustling, trying to get into fests and markets and in the
Yeah.
stores with room like Gabby's, that's a hustle. That is not easy. And you're constantly having to sell yourself as well as your product, because you're the person in the front of the people trying to tell them why this is important, and it's really really hard. And I liked looking at your Facebook page because you can see the duration or bag, how far you have come. But a lot of
Oh,
people
thank you.
yeah, a lot of people that I talk to on here, what ends up happening is I talk to them early on, and then, a few months later, like this, there's just the business is booming and I'm not saying it's because they were on the podcast. I'm saying
I love
it's
that.
remarkable how much, goes into it, but then where you end up. And farm to pet chicken chips is a perfect example of this. Like, I used to talk to Jackson early on, and he has a single ingredient chicken chip, which it's, you kind of are like, why did nobody think of that?
So simple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he grew up on a farm, and then finally he realized like what he was giving his dogs was a bunch of junk,
Yep.
in these treats, and probably like causing pets cancer. But it's just awesome to see the growth of somebody that I had on my podcast early, and then how far they've come, 2 years later. I think it's awesome. And you end up not being able to even call them a small business because of
Right. Right.
which is, and that's my next question for you. Like, can you kind of see that? Because I know this like day to day hustle, how hard that is. But can you kind of see, and I hate when people ask me this question, but can you see like a few years down the road at people like this being part of their life and their pet's life?
Oh, absolutely. Not only can I see it, it's on my vision board, Sarah. I
Yes.
I am I am pushing this and manifesting this. It is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I'm going to be
Oh,
perfectly honest about that. My conversations that I get to have with people about their dogs and how we're helping, and when people come up and tell me that we've fixed a problem that has been bugging them for years, there's nothing that I could possibly do
yeah.
outside of this that would give me that sort of feeling. So it really is something that I'm gonna work for, to make this something that people have in every home. I want to make sure that it's accessible for everybody. I keep my prices low for that reason. This isn't about corporate greed. This isn't about building a huge empire. This is about making sure that our dogs are healthier. It really, truly, genuinely is. And I share your sentiment. Working at the farmers markets, I see these small businesses week in and week out, and you notice these what are seemingly tiny little tweaks to what they're doing to their business, but over the course of a year, it becomes a complete change. And it's really inspirational to watch these people I get to interact with, and I get to call friends, growing. and seeing their businesses take off and seeing them stressed out about all the great things that come with a business growing, right? It's inspiring, and frankly, I love to watch my own journey, but my neighbors and my friends that are at the farmers market community, theirs is just as much entertaining and inspiring for me as is my own.
Yeah, I love that. So, how do you, obviously you have the six different variations, but
Yeah.
how do you kind of figure out what you're going to do? Do you do some research to see, hey, what do I think are the most important? Like, how does your process work?
As far as customers are concerned,
Yeah, or just, what kind, like, so, you have the healthy tummy, the vitality,
yeah.
what kind of direction those are going to go, the supplements, the formulas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I wanted my formulas to be able to cover pretty much the entire dog's health. It all started with the original formula, which is goat's milk, spinach, squash, turmeric, and I have to check my label, and sorry, and some carrots. That's it. Really basic.
Yeah.
So those are ingredients when I first started. This is literally the first one I ever made. I made it with Scout in mind, and I was like, okay, spinach and carrots and squash, great. Turmeric for his joints, since I know he's a working dog. Hip dysplasia may be a thing in the future, so let's put some turmeric in there. And I just started playing around with the levels and quantities of each of the ingredients to get the formulas just right. And then from there, I started, after I knew that that worked for him, I started reaching out to friends and family, and I wanted to know what their issues were. It was really crowdsourcing what the dog issues that needed to be addressed were. And primary issues that I came across were joint issues and digestive issues. I think anybody who's involved with dogs knows that those two things, digestive issues, also encompass skin issues. I think that they're related and they're tied together. So when I created the healthy tummy, the vitality, those were the two things that I had in mind. And so I sort of had this idea of what we were going to tackle. I just needed to figure out which ingredients were going to be appropriate for that formula.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It kind of is like the spectrum of things,
Yeah.
Like I'm just looking at the six bags. It is like, it's almost like you want to try them all for your pet just to see. So for the original, like that, it could be for somebody that just wants to try this and see how it is.
Absolutely. Yep. It's what I call my daily driver, right? It's the Honda Civic of my formulas. It's the one that's going to get you to where you need to be reliably. It's the one that's pretty well rounded nutritionally. So if you're just looking for a boost to your dog's nutrition, they need something. Maybe their joints are starting to age a little bit. The original is a really great one, and I've developed other formulas as well after the original three to help with things like bladder health and weight control. But the original is one that I give my dog a couple of times a week.
Got it. Yeah, that's amazing. Anything else I missed that you want to discuss? I mean, first of all, I love the label. I think it's awesome. And
Thank you.
I do think that when items are named or branded with something that is meaningful to somebody, it says a lot about the person, because you obviously had a huge connection with Scout, and the fact that Scout is on the bag,
Yeah.
and to call it Scout's Honor, I mean, remarkable. People can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a no-brainer for me. When I first started doing this, Scout was around. And so I just had a generic GSP on the label. If I was going to do this for him, he was going to be the centerpiece of the entire branding. But after we lost Scout, I questioned my motivation for a while after that. I was doing it for him, and it was a really nice business. I love the farmers market community, and I loved being a business owner. But without the right motivation, what are we really doing? And it took me a while to get back to it. And once I realized that this is the right thing to be doing and what I want to do for the rest of my life, then when I decided to do a redesign of the logo, it was imperative that he was the focus of the whole
Mhm.
thing. And so we had a graphic designer go in and take a picture of Scout and digitize it for us, and make the logo. And in fact, there's a little Easter egg in that logo. if you notice, my name is Whitney. Well, that's Mount Whitney, the mountain range where Mount Whitney is. In the background, I was named after the mountain, so I've got a little piece of
Oh,
myself in there as well.
oh, I was literally looking at the mountain of the logo when you
Yeah.
said that. I love that. I love how
Thank you.
meaningful that is. It's amazing. And I love that you got kind of like refueled, refired up. I'm sure that like that morning of that loss was really tough time, but it is nice to be re-energized and remember like why you did this, why you're doing it. And I think that's awesome that you got back out there.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it took a long time, and I didn't know if it was ever going to come back. But yeah, I miss him every day. He's buried on our property here, so I go out and I'm able to talk to him all the time and tell him that I
Oh,
miss him. And I know that he's blessing our land here. We've got 6 acres, and we've got a little farm, and we're gonna have chickens this year. So
yes.
he'll, in spirit, be very much a part of all of that. But you know, I, I when you lose a pet, it's very difficult. But when that pet is tied to something else that you do every day, such as a business or whatever the case may be, the impact is multiplied. He was on every little piece of packaging I had. He was on all my business cards, and that was a really hard reality to deal with. I wasn't prepared for that. It was a shock when it all happened, and but it was through a lot of the positive comments that I had from my customers and the encouragement from my farmers market community and the love of my friends and my family. They got me back into doing it, and I've never been more inspired in my entire life. We're ready to go, and we're feeling good about what the future holds for us.
I love that. That's so meaningful and just, what a great way to put it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So nice to meet you, Whitney, via
Pleasure,
this
Sarah.
podcast. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan. I'm going to go order some things and hopefully we can partner together with Live Like Rue some more, even, beyond the fests and the,
yeah.
farmers markets and all of that. That would be great.
Absolutely. I would love to talk to you guys about partnering on whatever we could. I believe in your mission, and if there's any way that I could help contribute to that, count us in.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. Go check out scottshonorformulas.com. Amazing product named after an amazing dog.
It
We're
sure
run
was.
by an amazing human. Thank you so much, Whitney.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate your time. Thanks, everyone.